Yo, what up, what up, what up? What's going on? Pastor Dixon here, running a little bit early tonight, which is kind of unusual. Put a little something on while I'm tagging some friends right quick. Yeah. A little something. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Welcome to another installment of Facebook Live with the Pastor. Some crucial message in this song. Crucial message. So everybody just kick back and relax while I get these folks tagged. Sometimes I don't understand how this tag these folk work. That thing just started over. That's all right. All will be well. Everybody come on in the room and settle on in right quick. See what we can come up with. I hope everybody's had a great Friday today. In spite of the conditions of the world that we see around us. Kind of like my man, I'm here to shake up y'all mind. But I know this group of folks here, I know the mind don't need to be shook up. I know all of y'all understand the severity of what's going on here right now. Yes, what's happening? What's happening, folks? Good to see y'all. Okay. Lavinia, what's going on? It's been a while. Ray, Missy, Evangelist Michelle Felder. What's up, sis? How you doing? All right. All right, D. How you doing? Sean, what's happening, my brother? Keep putting that word out for sure. We need it. Yes, yes. Ashley, what's happening? All right. Marche. Hey, I really appreciate that. Yeah. You know, I tell you what, and I tell people this a lot, you know, it ain't about the title, it's what we do. And, you know, especially in the midst of this pandemic we got right now, I really do wish that the person that has the title would be stepping his game up in order to really address the situations that we, especially people of color, are encountering in this thing. What the homeless are encountering in this thing. But instead of being proactive about this since day one, he has not gotten ahead of it. And the only way, I've said it before, the only way to beat a pandemic is out front. You can't wait till the bodies start dropping. And I'm going to talk about that tonight. You need to wake up. For sure. You need to wake up. Sister Soldier, what's going on, sister? All right. Little Missy Elliott. Wake up. I think that's one of the problems we got. We got, you know, we got people with titles. And them titles ain't doing nothing, you know. I mean, in some ways they rolling. In some ways they doing the right thing. But if we don't realize that in this dispensation of time, the fact that a title does not mean anything, that a title actually can give people power that they misuse and they intentionally neglect people, if we don't realize that now and take control of that situation, that power, because power concedes nothing without demand. It never has and it never will. Frederick Douglass said that a long time ago. And we need to understand that the powers right now are not going to take care of people. In this pandemic right now, it's been already noted that the coronavirus is targeting the weakness that this system has set up within African Americans, especially males. 70% of the COVID-19 deaths have been African Americans. 70% nationally, and I'm going to talk about the numbers in a minute. 70% African Americans, and 65% of them are males. 65% male. So if you're African American and if you're male and if you're over 60, you're in the crosshairs of this virus, for sure. Although it particularly does not discriminate, it targets those with weak systems. And because of the environment that black people and brown people and poor people have lived in, the systems, the physical systems are weaker than our white counterparts that have access to better foods, healthier lifestyles, and more prone to visit hospitals and understand about the conditions that many of us don't know that we have because we don't go to the doctors because of whatever reason, high copays or fear of doctors or whatever, you know. Gibbs Knotts, how you doing? Good to see you in the house tonight. Philip, what's going on? All righty. Nephew, what's happening? All right there, nephew. Yeah. Lee, how are you? Good to see you as always. Vanessa, yes. All right. My favorite Delta in the house. That's right. Good to see you. Yeah. Jack Hamilton, what's going on? All righty. Transit expert for sure. And we got work to do. We got work in so many different areas. You know, what it does not get talked about much is the fact that even transit contributes, or the lack of adequate transportation around contributes to the weaknesses of our system. All of these things are lack of quality education, lack of quality health care, lack of ability to make a decent wage. All of these things contribute. Where we live at, a lot of the places we live at were built on land sites that were not fit for human habitation. And we have been relegated to live in those places. And now they go up on the rent so high, we pay exorbitant amount of monies to stay in those places, with absentee landlords that never do anything to even keep them up. So they're killing us every kind of way, let alone the food does us. Let's not even talk about that. For sure. Peace be still in the house. Good to see you. Alyssa, good to see you also. LT, Lieutenant Mike Aiken, good to see you, my brother. Good to see you for sure. Yeah. It's time for us to wake up. And I wanted to lead out with that song because of the fact that it's if we don't wake up in the aftermath of a pandemic, we never will. Poor people, people of color, black and brown, our Native American brothers and sisters in North America have been misused in this nation for centuries. And because of that, we need to stop being the butt of everything. We need to have access to the American dream. We need to have access to that check that Dr. King talked about. And we deserve it because this nation was built by us. It was our backs, our sweat, our women raped, our children watched their fathers demeaned and belittled, castrated, burned alive for sport. And everybody else got wealthy but us to this day. Even when we talk about our Native American brothers and sisters, they've been mistreated too. And our brown brothers and sisters been mistreated too. So it's time for a change. It's time for us to really wake up. I get so tired of people talking about stay woke. How you going to stay woke and you ain't woke up yet? And that's the problem that we face. We're not woke up yet. And I'm going to try to keep this level tonight and not get all emotional and everything. But if I do, y'all bear with me. I'm only, like somebody said in one of them songs a while back, I'm only human. That's all. All righty. Let me take a look here. Clarice, good to see you. All righty. C. Battle Freeman. All right, now I love that German Shepherd that you got on your profile for sure. Jackie, how you doing? For sure. National Action Network in the house. Love to see you always. Kim, good to see you. Always keep them face masks coming. We need them. We need them badly. So, as we're looking at 8:38, and I did get started a little bit earlier, which is definitely unusual for me. Y'all know I hate to say it, but a lot of times I do operate on CP time. For those who don't understand that term, that's colored people time. Okay, we have a saying in the urban community from way back when about being late. And I guess you could say that's a racial slur against myself. I guess, get over. We'll be all right. We'll be all right. It's true for sure. The COVID-19 coronavirus. Y'all know since I read that letter from the young lady over in Italy, she was an American citizen living abroad in Italy. And she wrote a letter back to the United States, a public letter, just saying, look, y'all get ready. Get ready. This thing ain't no joke. This thing is killing people in Italy and it's coming your way. Get ready. She wrote that letter on March the 10th. I published that on my Facebook pages on March the 12th. And I did my first Facebook Live on Saturday, March the 14th, talking about, I believe what she's saying. We need to start getting ready. Well, now we are a good little ways away from that date now. So let me give some history onto this whole thing, okay? As I open up and talk about the status of the COVID-19 novel coronavirus or new coronavirus, because there are different strains of coronavirus, okay? So don't start that about the stuff on the can and all of that. And even our common cold is a strain of coronavirus, but this is a new strain, a novel coronavirus, and that's why they call it a new strain, something that we've never seen before. But this came, and I'm not going to deal with the international realm that much, even though I will say that internationally there's been over 153 deaths associated with 153,000 deaths associated with COVID-19. But here in the States, in the United States, the death toll has not been that long adding up here in the United States. It hasn't been that long. This is a relatively new thing that's going on here with the coronavirus. The first death was 48 days ago. Now, 48 days, that's only a month and a half. 48 days. A month and a half. From March 1st, this is April the 17th. March 1st was the first day that we had a coronavirus death in the United States. Okay? 48 days ago, less than a month and a half ago, we had our first coronavirus death in the United States. Last Wednesday, which was 2 days ago, right? April 15th, that one death had added up to 27,085 deaths in the United States. From 48 days ago, on March 1st, to 2 days ago, 46 days later, April 15th, it went from one death on the 1st of March to 27,085 deaths 2 days ago. Now, that's something to think about right there. But the next day, Wednesday, it was 27,085. Thursday, 24 hours later, it was 31,590. That number jumped up by 4,505 deaths in 24 hours. 4,505 people died because of the coronavirus and related complications in less than 24 hours' time. That's crazy. And you can fact check me on the numbers. It's all good. Now, I'm not here to talk mess or try to coat. I don't need to sugarcoat this or try to make anything up. The numbers speak for themselves. So that was yesterday. Yesterday, 31,590 total. Over 4,500 in 24 hours. Okay, now today, where we at today? Now, I got a couple of different numbers today. I think it's starting to get kind of hard for the CDC and John Hopkins and all those that are keeping the tallies to keep track of the deaths that's coming, because I think they're coming a little bit too fast. So I've got like 3 different numbers that, represent from yesterday to today, the grand total for the last 48 days. So the low figure that I have is 36,553. Remember, yesterday, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, that number was 31,590. Now today is 36,553. That's a jump up of nearly 5,000 deaths in 24 hours, folks. 5,000 deaths in 20. Is this serious? Yes, this thing is serious. It's extremely serious. The middle number, that was the low number. The middle number is like 36,700, almost 37,000, up 5,000, over 5,100 from yesterday. And the high number I saw was 37,000, up to 37,093. That number would have 5,500 people dying from yesterday at 2 o'clock until today. This thing ain't no joke, folks. And that's why I stay on it, and that's why I stay at it. There are those who ask me about why I don't put on the success stories and everything. I'm going to leave that to everybody else, because as I travel around, when I have to go out, okay, because I try to make sure that I'm staying inside and socially distancing and doing all of the guidelines necessary to first keep myself safe and then to keep everyone else around me safe. As I travel, I see people that act like this thing is nothing, that there's nothing going on. There's business as usual. And I guarantee you, since people got hit with these stimulus package checks, man, these folks gonna run outside. Put on a mask, please. I'm just gonna beg you, put on a mask if you got to go outside. And don't go if you don't have to. Save that little bit of change. But if you have to go out, put a mask. And don't take all your churn with you to the store. And make one trip. Don't keep going back to back. Make one trip to the store. Why? Because these numbers are serious. They're extremely serious. If you just look at from Wednesday, 2 days ago, until today, Wednesday, we had 27,085 coronavirus deaths, okay, in 46 days since March 1st, okay, 27,085 2 days ago. Today, that low number, 36,553 deaths. You know how many deaths that is in 2 days and 48 hours? 9,468 dead people because of coronavirus. And we playing? And us as people of color, that it's been documented from the data collected in other cities and other states, that this thing is having a definitely adverse effect and targeting black people and men. And we think this is some kind of a joke. This thing ain't no joke. 9,468 people died between Wednesday and today because of coronavirus. 9,468. Some of them might have been on this live tonight that ain't with us no more. Some of y'all might know some of that 9,468 that died between Wednesday and today during the last 48 hours. And it ain't going to get no better. The average number of deaths per day right now, the average, okay, from March 1st until today, the average right now is 762 per day. A couple of days ago, I did the average. It was like 500 and some odd. Now the average is up to 761 per day and rising. At this rate, if we keep just this rate up without it even rising any further, the projected death toll for a year will be 278,100 130 dead in the United States because of coronavirus. Yep. And there are people out here playing. Makes no sense. Robin, Cavett, good to see you all. Barbara, all right. Yep, that's right. So many folks. Yeah, good to see you all. Lisa, hey there. Cheryl, all righty. Maddie, Fred, Brother Noble, Donna, all righty. Herbaline, Debbie, what's going on? All righty. And that's why I said I'm not going to be, just too jokey or nothing like that tonight, because it's serious. Folks need to wake up. We need to wake up. The woke folks need to wake up, because this is real. I'm going to talk about some of them tonight. The woke folks that, telling people, go on, hug everybody. Go out, go out. Don't practice social distancing. Them conspiracy theorists. It's a hoax, this, that, and the other, like President Trump. Anytime that I decide to talk like President Trump, I know I'm wrong, okay? So for them conspiracy theorists, it's a hoax, it's a government hoax, and they sound like the president, not my kind of folks. So those are the national numbers, the United States number, okay? The United States number. Total, as of today, in 48 days, the low number that I came up with as of right now, 36,553. I say again, dead in 48 days. Okay. South Carolina, where we at? What's going on with us? Okay. We had our first death in South Carolina due to coronavirus 32 days ago on March 16th. Okay. March 16th was our first coronavirus death in South Carolina. Last Friday now, April 10th, 1 week ago today, which was 25 days after the first death, that number had gone from 1 up to 72. 72 deaths in 25 days. Compared to the other numbers, it doesn't seem that bad. And I'm going to explain that in a minute why. Okay? And that's why it's crucial. I'm glad to see everybody on. Gina Mocha, what's going on, Regina? How you doing? All right. Candidate for South Carolina House Seat 111. Okay. You'll see in a minute why that number is low right now. Okay. But today, that was last Friday. How many of y'all know 7 days happened between last Friday and now? So in 25 days from the first death in South Carolina, 72 people died up till last Friday. But from last Friday today till today, the number today is 116. 44 people died in the last 7 days, as opposed to 72 in 25 days. In 7 days, that number was more than half of what it was in 25 days. In 7 days now. It's crazy. 77 people died in South Carolina in the last 7 days. I read somewhere that in Sumter, they had a group that went to the funeral, and 6 people that went to the funeral died. I think it was 6, okay? And I said it before, the worst is yet to come, folks. The worst is, I don't care who's telling you what about we need to get back to work and we flattening the curve and all of this. And I'm going to show you why I believe that that's hogwash. And we can't fall for that, because guess who's going to be is most at risk for dying? Going to leave grandchildren without grandparents. Who going to leave sons and daughters, because we walking around, a lot of us don't know that we have underlying conditions or weakened immune system. We don't know that we have hypertension or high blood pressure, what they call sugar, as we call it, don't even know it. And this invisible virus is running around looking for people like that. And ultimately, it's going to get worse. It is going to get worse, for sure. But so what am I talking about? Okay, what am I talking? Why do I know it's going to get worse? Why do I even think that way? Okay. Well, as I looked overseas when this thing started in a province in China called Wuhan. I was watching it as it went into Italy with the young lady who wrote that letter, and then over into Spain as Madrid got hit hard, and a large segment of Spain got hit hard. And I was watching it even more when it started on the shores of the United States, okay? Because I believe the report. When that young lady wrote that letter, I read that thing. I was like, wow. And they had pictures attached and everything, and I couldn't find anything to refute it. So I had no reason but to believe it. Unlike the person that occupies the White House, and his team for months denied it was even a problem at all. Said it was a hoax. The Democrats dreamed it up or something like that. Blamed it on Barack Obama. Yeah, blame everything on Barack. That's all right. But when we look at this, okay, I talked about day one in the nation, how on March 1st was the first death by coronavirus, right? I talked about South Carolina, how March 16th was the first death by coronavirus. In every nation that this killer has ravaged, every country, every metropolitan area, they all started from small beginnings like this, with just one death. Every last one of them. Wuhan in China, Lombardy in Italy, Madrid in Spain, New York, one death. New Jersey, one death. New Orleans, one death. Chicago, one death. All of these places, everywhere where this thing has caused devastation. In Africa, in South America, it's happening everywhere. Iran, everywhere. All these started with one COVID-19 coronavirus-related death. Just one. Just like it started here in South Carolina on March 16th. The difference between what happened in South Carolina on March 16th and what happened in these other cities around the world was they happened on a different day. The first death was on a different day. And there's a process in place once it starts that is going to run its course. You see, that place, that one death, that's the beginning of what they'd call that curve. That curve, you hear I'm talking about flattening the curve. That one death is the starting point for that curve. Our nation, United States as a whole, we had that one death on March 1st, right? 15 days later, 85 was dead. 2 weeks. From March 1st to March the 15th, 85, March 16th, 85 died in that period. Now that we go from that one and you're going straight, now you get a little tick up because now you got 85. And now there are well over 36,000 in a very relatively short period of time from March the 16th until today. So what happened? It went from that little flat line tick up to a high spike. It started going this way, going up and going up until we get where we are now at about 36,000, over 36,000 dead in the United States, okay, today. 32 days after, it was just 85 deaths, and 48 days after the first death, okay? Now, I got this. I'm going to show it, okay, on here a little bit. Hopefully, we can see this, okay? If you look right here, March 1st was the first death in the United States, okay? And time moved on, the days moved on, and I guess right around in here, we probably run up to like 85, okay? Then that thing started jumping on up. Them deaths started adding up until Wednesday, because I got this from Wednesday. Wednesday, we had this number here, that 27,085 deaths. And today, we up here, because we got over 36,000 deaths. We off the charts, as they say, okay? But if you look at it, this is the process. In Wuhan, in Lombardy, in Madrid, in New York, in New Orleans, in Detroit, all of these had a process like this, where you had this sort of flat line, a few deaths here and there. Then all of a sudden it started to increase. Then it started to increase more and more until ultimately it started to really spike. And this is that spike that they're talking about we have to flatten in order to get control on this. The best way to flatten that curve would have been to start it right here before we got to March 1st. But instead, it was folks saying this is a hoax. They didn't take this thing seriously, okay? And now everybody's working out of the rear. We're trying to catch up. And that's not the way to beat a pandemic. To beat a pandemic, you have to get out in front of it and stop it before it gets there. So we didn't heed the warnings. And because of that, now there's a high price we're going to pay. Now, when you stop and you look at South Carolina, okay, South Carolina, our first death was on March the 16th. So that means if we just substitute this number right here, at March 1st, and let's change it to March 16th for South Carolina, first death, we are going to have a slow and gradual buildup. Remember, I said for the first 25 days, we had 72 total deaths, right? Just over the last 7 days, we jumped up by 44 more deaths. We're at this curve. We're starting to go into the spike, okay? And the reason why we can't across the board say all of the United States is at this particular level or whatever, because each place had a different start date. This is not rocket science. This is simple. Each place had a different start date. That means that the flat line and the few deaths had to carry their course. But all of a sudden, one day, that thing started ticking up, and it started ticking up fast. Because the incubation period of people that caught this virus back here finally started manifesting itself in people in the hospitals. Okay, and that's where you get this spike. So when we look at South Carolina, we can talk about right now, like Mayor Summey said a couple of weeks ago, why he wasn't interested in shutting it down. Oh, we're not doing as bad as the rest of the places. Well, that's the deception of this killer. I don't know too many killers that come out and just tell you they're going to kill you. And this invisible killer sure didn't, but it gave plenty of indication about getting ahead of it. And instead, he and others like our governor did not heed the warnings, possibly listening to that guy that they run with, the one in the White House. Okay, possibly. Okay, Cheryl. All right. Much love. Okay. Here in South Carolina, Henry McMaster and Keith Summey and other South Carolina leaders who are following Trump right now are talking about flattening the curve. Flattening the curve. Brothers and sisters, you can't flatten the darn curve that we haven't even really begun to see yet. How you going to flatten it and we ain't even seen it yet? And I pray that I'm wrong. I seriously pray that I'm wrong. And if I'm wrong, everything will be all right. We'll just go back to normal. But if I'm right, people going to die. People going to die. That spike that I showed you, that spike is coming. And it's just like with the national numbers, we are going to add to those numbers, that spike. After we get that little flat line and all of a sudden that tick up, and then all of a sudden it's going like this. And that's where we're at. And I pray that I'm wrong. And like I said, if I'm wrong, then nobody dies. But if I'm right, we're in a world of trouble. And I've said it before, Murray's will be overrun. Dickinson's will be overrun. North area will be overrun. Stirs will be overrun. Refrigerator trucks with bodies in them will be overrun. And I'm saying this so that maybe somebody on here will go tell somebody else, look, stay at home if you have to. If you have to go out, stay at home if you don't have to go out. But if you do, wear a mask at all times and practice social distancing and wash your darn hands. For sure. Wear a mask at all times. This is real. This is real. And we can't flatten the curve that we ain't seen yet. We ain't seeing no curve. So every time that you hear McMaster or Sammy or anybody else talking about flattening the curve, I would just, let that stuff go in one ear and out the other, because we can't flatten the curve that we have not seen yet. And we have not seen the curve that is coming. We have not seen what is coming at all. At all. It's crazy. It's crazy. Unless, well, even if we do, we must use the proven. Well, actually, the only way we could have done this was up front. Up front. If when we first got the reports that we would have taken those proven drastic and unpopular methods to prevent this thing from ravaging our states and our cities, with the cities within its boundaries. If we would have done these things weeks ago, if we would have shut it down, if we would have essential services, if we would have really defined the essential services instead of anything that folks think they are, okay? Because right now, essential services are a whole bunch of non-essential stuff. But if it gets the way that I think it's going to get, they're going to really define what essential services are. As a matter of fact, they might have it so that nobody gets to leave your homes, even for groceries. It might get to that point. If we would have done this thing the right way, South Carolina, seeing as how we had warnings coming from all around the nation, all these other places, and we still playing, right here. If we would have implemented proactive and prophylactic measures, like shutting down the state and ordering everyone, by government order, to shelter in place, unless, of course, your job is actually a real essential service, like hospital workers, groceries with specific hours, city maintenance workers, not liquor stores, not gun stores, not construction workers, those aren't essential. And I would even say bus drivers. In New York, bus drivers are dying because they stayed on the route and they've been driving around people that got them infected. Bus drivers are dying. Stay home if unless you absolutely have to go out. If we would have called essential services what they really are and held the state to that ahead of time, we could have gotten control over what possibly is getting ready to happen. The floodgates of death and dying, pain and sorrow in our state, because we got some people that's running this state who are afraid to do what's in the best interest of the people because they want to remain politically correct. And my brothers and sisters, those are not the kind of people that you need to allow to continue to run your states or your cities. They need to go. They don't have our best interests at heart. They're too arrogant to just understand the simplicity of what I'm saying. People have been saying this since it started in China. And because of the arrogance of those who are in charge, those power-hungry people, it ain't going to be that bad. It ain't going to be that bad. And right now they're saying because they don't see those same numbers like New York or New Orleans or Detroit or Chicago, because they don't see those numbers right now. They're saying, it ain't going to be that bad. But I tell you what, New York, Chicago, Detroit, New Orleans, every other state that's been hit hard has said the same thing. It ain't going to be that bad. And look what's happened in each and every one of them. It not only is that bad, it's worse than what they ever expected. Seen the pictures of the bodies stacked up? I have. I've seen them. And I've seen them in more places than I ever thought I would see in the United States. It's crazy. It's crazy. If we would have, before the first deaths, we should have been implementing preventive measures to prevent the spread of pathogens. We should have been mandating social distancing, not if you want to. And I've been in like Walmart, man, ain't nobody paying no attention to social distancing. Sam's, ain't nobody paying no attention to, no, man, I tell you what, I went to the seniors hours at Sam's the other day, And dude told me I needed to go get in the line, even though it was within the seniors' time. And he told me everybody in the line was seniors. I went and took a video of it, man. There was more young people in that line and nobody social distancing, very few people wearing masks. And they have the seniors hour set up because seniors are supposedly more susceptible to the coronavirus. And as a senior, I wanted to go and shop with the rest of the seniors, especially since I qualify. And he said, no, he tried to put me back in the line so I could catch coronavirus. He ain't care nothing about me. How many of y'all know he cared once I got through with him? How many of y'all know that? Yeah, I bet he won't never do that again to anybody, for sure. But if we would have done these things ahead of time, mandating social distancing, mandating the wearing of masks at all times in public, mandating that all businesses other than real essential services shut down until after this thing gets behind us, until after it's in our rear view mirrors. That's how you fix it. And you know what? We got an example here in the United States. The mayor of San Francisco, that's exactly what the mayor of San Francisco did. And because of that, the numbers in San Francisco reflect that prophylactic measures that worked in her city. Okay? Because Mayor London Breed, and that's her name, London Breed, because she believed the science and she applied the necessary measures to proactively address this killer. As of April 10th, last Friday, when South Carolina had 72 deaths, 25 days after our first death, San Francisco only had 13 recorded deaths due to the virus, and their first death was on March 24th. 13 deaths, okay? Under Mayor Breed, San Francisco was the first major city in the United States to announce a shelter-in-place order on March 16th, before they had any deaths, before anybody had dropped. March 16th, Mayor Breed announced that there would be a shelter-in-place order for the entire city. The same day that we had our first coronavirus death here in South Carolina. She was ordered and shut it down. Her order was followed by a similar one for the entire state of California, but announced 3 days later on March 19th by California Governor Gavin Newsom. We ain't heard none of that from Henry McMaster. None. Or from a mayor like here in North Charleston. Okay. Mayor Breed said, and I quote she said these words, she says, each of us has the power to save lives and decrease the impact of coronavirus in San Francisco. We need everyone to stay home, which will help protect themselves, their families, and the people in our community who are most at risk of harm from the virus. And end quote. And this was in a city with a population of 3,314,000 people. She shut it down ahead of it. And as of today, as of April the 17th, San Francisco has 20 COVID-19 related deaths. 20. 7 in the last 7 days. While South Carolina has had 37 deaths within the same amount of time, 7 days. From last Friday till today. They've had 7. We've had 37 in the same amount of time. Proactive. Not taking this thing for granted. Not looking around and say, well, it's not that bad. They're over, the other side of the river over there. They got better numbers. They got higher numbers than we got and everything. So, we doing good. So we're not going to do anything or whatever. No. She said, no, this is a killer. I've seen what's happening. I've studied what's happening around the world. And they say that social distancing and shutting down activity is the only way to beat this thing. So that's what we're going to do. We are going to say, what did she say? She said, each of us has the power to save lives and decrease the impact. And what did she do? She did what it took to save lives and decrease the impact. While we sitting here playing games right here. From last week, Friday until today, 7 deaths while we had 37. Okay, somebody. Okay, the numbers we see in San Francisco are much lower than other cities of comparable size, including New Orleans, Boston, Detroit, and Washington, D.C. The city's curve is already low and continuing to flatten more, with emergency rooms not seeing a flooding of patients. Why? Why? Because she did ahead of time, proactively, what needed to be done in order to make sure that the curve didn't start. Something that has not been done in the state of South Carolina. And again, I pray that I'm wrong about what's going to happen. I pray. I'm definitely not. I don't like death and dying. I don't like suffering. I'm just giving the facts. I'm just giving the truth. That's all. Okay. But here's a very interesting fact. Here's a very interesting fact. Okay. In the Spanish flu pandemic of 1918, we had a pandemic of Spanish flu in 102 years ago, right? In that pandemic, let me tell you how serious pandemics are. In the 1918 pandemic, Spanish flu pandemic, 675,000 Americans died. I say again, 675,000 Americans died, and 64,000 of them was from South Carolina. 64,000 people died in 1918, 1919 from the Spanish flu during that pandemic. And we playing around. Oh, we gonna be all right. We ain't gonna be all right, folks. But that was 102 years ago. And in that pandemic, guess what happened? San Francisco in that pandemic stood out then for what? For the same reasons. The mayor then believed the science and applied the necessary measures to proactively address the Spanish flu. That mayor heard what was going on everywhere. He heard about the measures needed in order to reduce the impact that the Spanish flu had in San Francisco. He implemented those measures, and because of that, they were the model city for lives saved, while the rest of the country was devastated by the Spanish flu. The same thing in San Francisco. But that devastation, okay, they weren't devastated in the first wave. Okay, because this thing, they were spared in the first wave, and apparently they must have dropped their guard. And they dropped their guard just as across the nation. Cities said, we're good, we're over it. We flattened the curve, as they're saying right now. We flattened the curve, and all of a sudden, here comes that virus right back at them again, the Spanish flu. And it wiped out a whole nother set of people, ultimately totaling in the nation 675,000, and in South Carolina, 64,000. Yes. Don't believe me? Do your research. Some great videos on YouTube, okay? Get ready, okay? Because you're going to see dead bodies, and they're going to talk about people being found in their houses dead and stuff like that. Just get ready for it, okay? I'm not saying that's going to happen here, but, sometimes history has a way of it repeating itself. And it definitely did in San Francisco. Hopefully that this time, though, she won't drop her guard, And we're going to see China drop their guard already in this one. And we saw a resurgence last week of coronavirus in China. The numbers jumped back up. They had it under control for a minute. And now it's starting to jump back up again. Waves of people. First, the first wave, then the second. I believe in the 1918 Spanish flu pandemic, I believe there was either 3 or 4 separate waves that came through. San Francisco was spared in the first one because of that proactive approach, but they let their guard down afterward, thinking that we made it. And the reality was they hadn't made it anywhere. That thing came back on them. Okay. So I hope I've made it clear. I hope I've made it very clear to everyone that's on this live, so you can tell somebody else about why we haven't gotten to the curve yet. We've started to tick up, but it's going to come a time when here in the low country and across South Carolina, the numbers start to spike, just like they have everywhere else. Okay. And we can't look at the way that things are changing in the other cities, and they're looking like they're getting control of them and everything. Why? Because their start dates were different. Their start dates were earlier than ours. Our start date is later than theirs. So that means that the progression is going to follow through later than their progression. And we got to get ready. We need to be ready for it. I cannot stress enough about the necessity for us not to drop our guards. We cannot. Yeah, Barbara, I know. I mean, everybody has got these stories of people now. I look on my timeline every day, and it's somebody posting something about they've lost a loved one to COVID-19. Someone they know to COVID-19. Sometimes 3 and 4 people to COVID-19. Just like you said, your sister has lost several of her old co-workers from New York 9/11 telecommunications services. Several folks, for sure. It's crazy. It's crazy. Chantre, how you doing? Welcome to the live, for sure. Cheryl, Trisha, my number one niece, okay. Genevieve, all righty. Donna, what's going on? You and Chef Kevin, what's happening? All righty. CC Chisholm in the house. All right. Michael, Hope. Yeah, a lot of folks. Good to see you all. So, please, share this video out so people will hear the truth about this thing. We cannot afford to drop our guards now. Matter of fact, we need to be putting more protection on. We need to make sure that we are staying home as much as we can. Okay, some of us cannot stay home. Some have to go out, okay? But if you're going out, please wear a mask at all times when you're in public, at all times, okay? And not no, not like this, okay? That's not wearing a mask, okay? That's not it. And that's not it. That's not it. With your nose all out like that. No, that's not it. The mask is like this. You cover your nose, cover your mouth, and try to have something that's fitting close enough under your chin and up on your cheeks, okay? That's real. Other than that, you're allowing places for these droplets, the way that coronavirus is communicated, to get into your nose or your mouth. And then land on your face. And of course, we touch your face, then you sweat these things and get in through your eyes, ears, whatever open orifice. And you can catch this thing. Anybody can catch this thing. And this thing is not specific to any old people. No, there are young people that are catching this and dying. Okay. So please practice hand washing frequently with soap and water. If there's no soap and water around, okay, sanitize. Definitely sanitize. But try to focus more on hand washing with soap and water for a minimum of 20 seconds. Get in the habit of it, even after we're beyond this, because we are going to get beyond it. We are going to do that. But even after we're beyond it, wash your hands more, please. We might not never go back to the point where we're shaking hands and stuff like that. That's another part of social distancing. No more handshakes or whatever, fist bumps and all of that. Nope. No more. That's ways that this thing can be communicated from one person to another. With that mask on, what happens with the mask, I meant to say this, what happens with the mask is, if you have this virus and you have the mask, the mask is going to block you as you're talking to somebody, block it from coming out and then infecting them. But if you don't have it and somebody else has it and they're talking to you and they don't have a mask on, the mask will stop it from getting into you too. So it's twofold. If you go out in the public, if you have to go out, wear a mask. And don't try to be cute. This ain't no fashion statement. This is going to save your life. Act like it. Please. I see too many people out here. They look like that's part of their Easter Sunday outfit. I got the little thing hanging on my ears and everything. And, it's covering my mouth, but my nose, is hot, No, please. The life you save will be your own, for sure. Let me scroll this up a little bit. Diana Salazar, ¿cómo está? Yes. Nisi, Yvette, all righty. Excellent, Lisa. Please, everybody, mask up, okay? Social distancing, none of that handshaking and all of that, okay? And the folks been doing this or whatever. That's the same place where we've been encouraging people for years now to cough into, right? You got to sneeze, do it in your elbow, right? Now you're going to walk up to me and say like this here. 6 feet, man. 6 feet. 6 feet. Back it up. Back it up. I'll give you some dap, or we're gonna greet like they do in Asia. I'm giving you a nod. That's it. And folks should not get upset about that. Please, we're in a new world right now, and we must protect ourselves, okay? For sure. Let's see where I'm at. 9:23. All righty. Okay. I had some videos I was going to show, but I'm not going to. One of them dealing, especially when it talks about the social distancing and everything. I got one that was taken in Pensacola, Florida, in one of the housing projects. Looked at every bit of maybe about 300 people out last Saturday or whatever. I don't know what them people out there doing, but that's foolish. That's stupid. It's stupid. It's stupid just in case what I'm saying is right. It's stupid. Why chance it? Why chance it? And if one person in that crowd has it, now everybody has the potential to have it. Everybody. And not only that, okay, because somebody might say, man, that's them black folks, they're hanging out, blah, blah, and in the projects, they over in the addicts projects or whatever. But you look at what happened in Michigan yesterday as Trump supporters took to the streets talking about open back up. They want to protest to open back up the businesses, and thousands of them in the streets, had the kids outside and everything. Nobody had any personal protection on, nothing. The videos are all over the place. So please take a look at them. This is crazy. This is crazy. Everyone out there has the potential to be not only contaminated, but to contaminate someone else. Everyone. They block traffic. An EMS wagon was stuck in the traffic and couldn't get the people in the emergency transport. Could not get the person to the hospital. I don't know what happened as a result of that, but somebody needs to go to jail for that. And I say Trump supporters because that's what they are. You look at the videos. Look at the videos. They're trying to make America great again by opening up the stores and telling everybody, come on in the room, bring them stimulus checks on in here and die. Just that simple. They don't care. They're so concerned about their profit margin that they're blinded to the fact that this killer is out here, and this killer is out here that's going to not only affect their customers, but them too. They're not immune. They're not immune. The antibodies testing right now, and you hear about the antibodies testing, that they identify people who have not contracted it, and apparently they have some type of gene or whatever that makes them immune to it. Well, that testing now it has about a 40 or 30% success rate. Okay, it ain't working yet. They still got to work on it. It ain't working. So I don't know what's wrong with these people. These people, they stuck on stupid. They stuck on stupid. And when it comes to black folks are being, as I said, targeted, not specifically by the coronavirus, okay, because the virus don't care who it inhabits or who it kills, okay, but because of the systems that we've been raised in or we've been exposed to, the poverty, the lack of good eating, and the obesity and underlying health conditions, diabetes, hypertension, all of these different things, because of our heart conditions and everything, because of these things, we're more susceptible to this virus. So it's taking a bigger toll on us. And I said it earlier, 70% of the deaths in the United States have been black. And 65% of those deaths have been men. Okay? That's staggering. That's staggering. But what bothers me, and I'm going to be honest, it does bother me because I tried to raise some money to do this. Our black legislators and our legislators, period, who are in charge of our communities, okay? Instead of them taking out ads on the radio like they do when they're running for office And every 2 minutes you hear somebody talking about vote for me, vote for me, vote for me, vote for me. Instead of putting those things on the black radio stations, right? Spending money with the black radio stations and having public service announcement ads running every 2 or 3 minutes saying, we need you to practice social distancing. This thing is a killer. It's attacking black people. Instead of having those ads there, we got nothing. I tried to raise some money in order to do it. I got frustrated. I just backed up. Because I'm not independently wealthy. I mean, if I had it, I would do it myself. There would be so many ads on black radio saying, man, this thing is coming for you. Watch out. Here's the numbers. Here's the numbers. But my good representatives, those who have access to public service announcements and everything, those who are going to this an election year spend thousands of dollars on advertising, I ain't seen nothing. At a prime time, and we can, Steve Harvey in the morning or whatever, you catching DJ Cass in the afternoon, all our fly radio stations and everything. You know how many black folks listen to Heaven 1390, our gospel stations, WJNI? We listen to these stations that could be at least informed because we put ads on them. But they care. They care about your vote. I'm not in this to win friends and influence people. I never have been and I never will be. It's just truth. It's tight, but it's right. All right? Why? I don't understand it. Why haven't our elected officials done this? Why not? Don't do TV. Don't nobody watch TV no more, especially not our younger crowd, but they do listen to radio. They listen to the hip hop stations. They listen to, this old school soul stations. We could be reaching people. Okay. And as I come to a close, I just want to talk about this other area. Okay. I was going to talk about me and me and the community, but I decided to pull that back in and just stay with what's serious, and what's serious is that we get this message out. And the only thing I was going to say about me, the reason why I do this is because I've been out here fighting, trying to save lives in our community for a long time, ending gun violence, making sure people get paid right so they don't die in poverty, making sure that folks have health care, access to health care and public education, not wind up incarcerated or killed on the corner for selling dope or whatever, making sure that everybody had equal rights, no matter who you are and no matter what you believe, equal rights. I fought for these things, trying to keep people alive, and that's why I do what I do right now. But I am so frustrated because I keep seeing these people. I called them the other day on my Facebook post, non-believers, hoax hawkers, and conspiracy theories. I keep seeing them talking that foolishness, to the families, to people, talking about, go on, hug folks and carrying on. And it's somebody that's real close to me that said that. And I was so grieved in my spirit because I know inside of that household, they have somebody that is very dear to me too, whose system is not strong enough to fight off this darn thing. And this person talking all that crazy talking, I have a problem with that. Broke my heart to even hear that and to think that. Think that's cute. That you know something that everybody else don't know. Until I get that call. And don't do that to me. Don't do that. I don't care how smart you are. I don't care how you've changed your diet. Okay? And even everybody's diet inside of your house. That's not the problem about what you've done inside of your house. Because you go outside of your house. And COVID can live on the stuff where you're touching and stuff, and you can take it back in your house because everybody else ain't living at that same level you living. They're not eating the way that you eating. So it's not what you are doing that's going to save your life. It's what you protect yourself from others that aren't doing what you're doing. It's crazy. Just because you living right don't mean the people that you're telling that this is a hoax that they're living right, okay? And all these people are listening to you and say, oh, that's just a hoax. I'm going to do whatever I want to do. They're the same people who we walking around with no kind of symptoms whatsoever, and they see you and you be like, yeah, what up, bro? What up, my bro? Yeah, all right. Then you walk right back in your house and take that COVID back in your house and infect that same person that's got a weakened immune system, and that person dies. Think about the consequences of your action, okay? That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. And think about it from this perspective, okay? Because I'm praying that I'm wrong. And if I'm wrong, then you've done nothing but practice social distancing. That's all that you've done. But if I'm right, you could lose somebody that you love and somebody I love. It's just that simple. Don't do it. Stop it. Don't let up here. Don't let ego make you lose somebody that you love. Stop it. For sure. Brother Musa, what's going on? Rajia, what's happening? I put the quote, there are none so blind as those who will not see. Understanding cannot be forced on someone who chooses to be ignorant. So I just decided to include that part in tonight, okay, as I'm closing. And I just hope that everybody here will pass on this word to other people. This is not anything to joke about. This is not anything to get hung up in your head. It's just a small ask, okay? And if I'm wrong, if the progressions that I've seen happen from China to Iran to our Scandinavian countries to England to Italy to Spain to South America, even in Belize, it's the same thing. And the trends here, if these trends follow the same trend here in South Carolina, the worst is yet to come. It's coming. It's coming. So the best thing to do right now is to adopt a posture of prevention. Again, wash your hands regularly, okay? Keep your hands out your face. Wash your hands regularly. Stay home if you can. If you can. Not everybody can stay home. But if you have to go out, only go out when necessary. Go to your destination and come home. And when you go out, wear a mask all the time while you're out. All the time. Don't take it off and don't have it hanging off your nose or under your chin. That's not gonna save you. It's not gonna be any kind of protection. Wear your mask, okay? For sure. And when you're out, practice social distancing. Stay away from people. 6 feet. Because when folks talk to you, there are invisible droplets that come out of the mouth that you can't see. And those linger around in the air. They're speculating on how long they linger in the air, and that's how it gets into your nose or your mouth because you got nothing to cover it, nothing to block it. Next thing you know, you get sick. And let me tell you about getting sick. Once you get to the hospital and you've been diagnosed as COVID-19 positive and you wind up quarantined, unless you have a full recovery, you don't come home. If your case worsens and you go to one of those terminal spots, you wind up on a ventilator, and you wind up being one of those 36,000 plus that have died in America, the next wave or whatever, you don't get to see your family anymore. You don't get to see your love. The last time that you saw them will be the last time that you saw them, unless you have a nurse or a respiratory therapist or a doctor at your bedside that has a phone with them that will let you FaceTime with them while you're there. Ain't nobody gonna be there holding your hand or patting you on the head and all of this here. No. Once you quarantined, you are quarantined. And either one or two things is going to happen. You're either going to get better, leave from there and go home, back to where you can hug them, or you're going to die alone. This is real talk. This is real talk. Not any talk that I enjoy saying, but it's the talk that I hope will get somebody to decide to do the right thing. Please, I'm begging you. I don't want to see none of you all not make it. I don't want y'all to see me not make it. And if all it takes is to follow the guidelines, hand washing, social distancing, stay home unless you have to. If you have to go out, wear a mask all the time when you're out there. Please do these things. Do these things. And hopefully, whatever we see coming will not be as bad as I think it's going to be. And I pray it's not. I pray it's not going to be. Okay? But we will get back. We will get past this. We will get past this. My last statement is going to be about the Spanish flu pandemic of 1918, 102 years ago. How many of you all before this year, 2020, knew anything about this Spanish flu pandemic? Probably not too many. Probably not too many. Because from whenever the recovery was after 1918 until this popped up, yes, we've had some bad run-ins with viruses, some bad run-ins, but nothing on this scale. Nothing on the scale from 102 years ago. Nothing on the scale that would stop us from shaking hands or hugging one another or make us shelter in place, and nothing on that scale. So for 100 years after the pandemic of 1918, things did get back to normal. There was a recovery, even to the point where it wasn't even in anyone's minds about a pandemic until this new thing popped up again, the novel coronavirus. So just like it was then, we will have a period where we do recover. And our children's children, maybe not our children, but their children, will have a society, a world where they don't remember what happened in this one. But if it's bad enough, please, I pray for our children that our children's children will tell them so that they don't drop their guards and they heed the warnings and they do like the mayor of San Francisco did now and the one in 1918 did. And that's to believe and act ahead of time. So listen, everybody, I want you all to have a wonderful night. Believe in your hearts that this too shall pass. I believe it. I totally believe it. But I also believe, and I can't do anything but tell you the truth of what I believe. I believe that the worst is yet to come. But out of that, depending on how we handle it, whether we grow stronger together or we die apart, that's how we're going to come out of it. If we choose to grow stronger together in the midst of this pandemic, there'll be a bond of fellowship, a bond of humanness established that will never be able to be broken, will not be able to be torn down by any politician or any fake prophet out here. That we as a people will all succeed. We will get to that promised land. It's just that we got to get past this coronavirus now. Y'all take care. Share this out to everybody. Closing right now. Please. Tell somebody you love them. That's all I ever ask. I can't say hug them no more. But please, if you got somebody you got a problem with or whatever, man, probably done forgot about what you got a problem with. But then give them a call. Just say, man, I love you. Ma'am, I love you. Lady, I love you. Friend, I love you. Relative, I love you. Just do that. Do that. Because tomorrow's not promised to anybody. That Rona. That Rona. Trust me. Y'all take care. God bless. Wifey, I see you just jumped on. I love you. Let that be known. All righty. Y'all take care. I love all of you all, and we'll talk again soon. Peace.